All right, we're going to call to order the Daniel Boone Area School District Board of Directors Committee of the Whole session. Today's date is Monday, April 18th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll start with our pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, Mr. Wolf.
Ms. Albright? Here. Mr. Miller? Here. Mr. Gerson? Here. Mr. Strobel? Here. Mr. Strobel is participating by telephone. Mr. B. Scott? Mr. Wolf here. Mr. Rathke?
Here.
Ms. Olson?
Here.
Mr. Jeff Scott?
Here. Any agenda edits? All right, there will be an executive session following the meeting to discuss negotiations and personnel issues. And before we get into the bulk of the agenda, we'd like to recognize one of our staff, Mr. Bo Chappelle. He's a middle school phys ed teacher of the year award from the Lancaster Lebanon Burks chapter for health, physical education, recreation, and dance.
If I could get Mr. Chappelle to come up here to the podium, please.
As a note, Mr. B. Scott has joined us.
This is a certificate of award or recognition, special recognition for Mr. Bo Chappelle, who's one of our middle school health and physical education teachers. And he was recognized by the Lancaster Lebanon Burks Chapter for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance for being named the Middle School Physical Education Teacher of the Year. So I'd like to congratulate him.
If I could just say,
Does that come with cash or check?
This is
Cash or quit?
I wish he was here. I really wish I could thank my administration, in particular Jane Rexroad. She's been so supportive, and I couldn't have done this without her. So I just hope that somehow, somewhere along the lines, she knows how appreciative I am for her. So thank you.
How are those wall things working out? Whatever those.
They're perfect. They actually, the kids love it. Yeah, the TRX bands.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. But thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And just a reminder for procedures for public participation, they're in the front cover or the back cover of your agendas. If you'd like to address the board, just simply come up to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board with whatever your concerns are or questions. All right. Items number 6 in finance. Any board discussion?
So I think I had, let's see here.
I would have been remiss if you hadn't.
I had some questions, right? Do we ever get to know how many people actually participate in the live streaming for the graduation?
And that's not that's not some information I have at this time. If you would like, we can see if I get that from Mr. Matz.
And the other, I guess it's actually from Mr. Matz as well, although maybe, so I think, I know we've been researching other platforms besides the eSchool. I think this is the last year where that is being available, correct? Have we made any progress as to what our future system will be?
Yes, we're looking at program called Infinite Campus.
Infinite Campus? Okay. Is that, I'm trying to remember, is that the one that the IU is picking up, or is that?
Yes, it's one of the IU's going to host a platform.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board discussion on items in finance? Any public comment on items under finance? All right, seeing none, we'll move to item number 7, programs. Any board discussion? Seeing none, do we have
So
any
you go sign up for your 5K at Maples Curtis?
any public comment on items under programs? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to presentations by board members, secretaries, correspondence.
I did receive one letter, a hard copy of what some of the board members had received, but it will not be read or acknowledged since it wasn't signed.
Okay. BCIU report?
So at the IU, a couple things were, as many know, the longtime CFO, Carl Blessing, is retiring, so we're actually preparing for that. I actually found out Carl actually has worked at the IU his whole career. I think 35 years there. So. Anyway. And I could bring this in, I don't know, perhaps Dr. Cooper had gotten a copy of it, but for those who know, the IU does quite a bit of, I will say, work up at the Capitol, plugging for, what public school on our benefit for a lot of different items. One of the things that they came out with was kind of a fact sheet for charter schools to show what their performance is, what the costs associated with those are. And actually, Dr. Cooper, did they send you a copy of that?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't know if that was something that maybe other board members would be interested in seeing. I do have the copy at home. I should have brought it in. I apologize. They are trying to really push for some reforms to that. And it's not abolishing charter schools. It's more of making it more of a fair payment system for the schools, that if we are paying for these kids to go, that it's definitely a more representative cost of what it actually is involved in educating these kids. So a lot of money comes out of school budgets for charter schools, so especially in some of the inner cities. But, that's what I have from the idea.
BCT report?
Yes, we did meet at the East Campus 2 weeks ago, and the notable items to report were we approved to authorize up to $200,000 for installation of cameras at both schools. So the designs of the school, you're aware, the designs of the schools are identical except for the outside buildings. So it's almost exactly cut in half the cameras for each building. So they're expecting also to open bids at the end of the month, or when we have our meeting on the 24th, for the construction of the welding building that we're putting out in the West Campus. And then beyond that, some routine approvals. They did want me to make another pitch to our board members, and hopefully the administration would pass it on to the teachers of the district that Berkshire Grant Technology are raffling off 2 vehicles, one being a Roadster and another one a Corvette. Tickets are $20. Beverly had purchased a
I have the
ticket.
winning one.
You have the winning
I have the
ticket.
winning.
Beverly's far behind.
That's
They-
why I didn't get one.
Yeah,
Because I already won.
Me too.
I promised that I would bring that message
No
to the
point.
board. So if you would like to purchase a ticket, let me know, and I can get one for you. Includes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Anything you want to talk about? All right. Legislative report? Any public comment on the board presentations?
I actually have another report.
Oh, you do? All right.
So let me start by saying that but going back to what Mr. Rathgeb was asking about the live stream. The live stream is not only serviced on our website, but it's also serves our Facebook Live. So we actually found that out at the last technology meeting, and the number of views through Facebook Live at least is 6.9 thousand. So,
You might sweat up there now that you know that you're being watched by that many people.
and so on March 28th, I went to the Berks Earned Income Tax quarterly meeting. It was basically going over the reports for the last couple of months since December. If anybody would like to see the unofficial ones that get mailed to the board members, you can ask me and I'll send it to you. There were no surprises, nothing. They're continuing to get their collections up higher than their target each year. And the main crux of the meeting was to discuss the computer system that they are installing to digitize records and to make it easier for people to do electronic payments if you want to send a check in. We're on year 3 of a 2.5-year process. And so they're pretty frustrated. They don't have a working model yet. They were hoping to get it done by this year. It's not done. And they're considering legal action against the person that they've got making the computer system.
Yeah.
But they've also got them over a barrel because, they've had, if we stopped working with them, they'd have no product and have to start up with somebody else.
We've been having this, when I was on the board, we've been talking computers since I stepped foot in there.
Right, and so,
I'm also curious, as after the merger, one of the biggest concerns was costs, because the old EIT was so frugal.
yeah, they're very lean.
Has that really gone up, or?
It's higher than I believe when you were on the board, but it's stayed flat. They've done a lot they run every hire by the group and to do their best to keep wages as flat as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Olson. Any public comment on board presentations? See none, we'll move on to personnel. Any board discussion? So where does that bring us as far as known retirements at this point? Do we know?
Two at this point.
Those are the only two? For some reason, I thought we had a couple others that we were. Okay.
Two official letters.
All right.
I had a question about, at least I read it, come on.
I read it too.
About item, where am I at here? D, the sports manager. So I read the job description, and I read the recommended salary. Are we actually comfortable we're going to get some money for that salary?
I believe so.
Okay, because it didn't seem like much.
It's not much, it's a lot of work. I mean, the thought was that it would be equivalent to an assistant or DE type coach for each one of the 3 seasons. So and it's a lot of work for not a lot of money.
Okay.
I think we have some interested parties that have some good skills.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Any other discussion on items in number 9? Seeing none, any public comment on personnel items? All right. Number 10, enrollment. Any board discussion? Seeing none, any public comment on enrollment? All right, moving on to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Olson.
All right. For anybody for anyone on board who did not attend the curriculum instruction committee meeting, take them down, pass around. The first thing, we had 5 presentations. First one was on the full day kindergarten update. This, we received more information than just what's on this sheet, but these are the 3 groups of kids that have come through, that where full day intervention with 15 kids per class was an option for these kids, 2016, 17, 18, 19, where they're identifying how many kids are either, at what level they are with their assessments, above level, on level, below, severely below. And each of these class of 30 have as many kids that are listed as severely below level as whose parents are willing to put them in that full day class, plus some of those kids that are at the below level. The second one is just looking at the current second graders, which would be that first group that came through that had that opportunity for their reading level. You can see that whereas the half-day kids, when they first came in, 57 of them were on or above level, and only 35 of our full-day kids were. By the end of the school year, 87 of the half-day kids and 74 of the full-day kids. So most of those kids were able to catch up to their peers. We saw similar, but not as dramatic for the kids that are currently in first grade. Of course, they have only had the 1 year to be brought up to the same level. We saw even better results in the math that we looked at.
So this is the group of the current second graders. This is the first group that we had, and these are the results finishing kindergarten that year, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
No, the first that under that other current second graders, you've got the that first band is where they were when they started kindergarten, whether it's full day or half day.
And by the end of second.
Where they are at the end of second.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And we saw the similar situation with,
awesome.
we saw the kids in the second group, the kids 17, 18, and where they were at the end of first grade, and then the kids that are there now, where they were at the beginning of the school year versus January of 2019.
Right.
And so you didn't see a dramatic jump, because not as much time has passed. But,
And as awesome as that is,
yeah.
there were 30 students being serviced out of the, I can't find it right now, the 42 that were below. And now there's in the 2018, 2019, there's 96 below and still only 30 are going to be served.
Yeah, that was something we wanted to make sure to point out.
Significant.
So that's saying that before we even get a hold of those kids,
Before we've done anything.
So what is the plan for kindergarten next year?
we did not make, we weren't,
I mean, next year would be, if we stuck with what we're doing, that would be an extension of the original
correct.
3-year plan, right?
And having I think that this shows that the plan, what we're doing right now has value.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be really nice if we could expand it, but I don't know if I don't think the budget warrants that approach right now, but it is something I'd like to think about. We also talked about the recommendations of the administration was that we might want to be looking into a higher impact. There are grants out there for pre-K programs which might help us at least reduce the number of kids that are in that below level, severely below level before they even get to us.
So if we did what we've been doing, we'd have 30 kids in full day,
Doing better.
right?
Yeah,
Which
than they would be otherwise.
which means, as Ms. Albright pointed out,
64. yeah.
64 still.
Correct.
So if we wanted to cover everyone that was below, we'd need 3
No, we need
4 more
We need
classes.
4 more classes because they have 50
Right.
per class. Or you have to make some changes to the way that full day goes. You know, if and that would be a bigger discussion, of course. You know, whether you could still
Now-
be as effective with 20 kids in a classroom.
So we only go in the half day, we still saw an improvement from 43% below to down to 13%, right?
Correct. You mean the regular half day? Those were the
Yeah.
kids that were, yeah. So those, and if you take a look, like in that group that started kindergarten 2016, 2017, that means almost everybody that was in that classroom was already on or above level before they even got to school.
So of the 72 that are just in the below level bucket, are they ranked? Like, do we have a ranking of them to
You know
say?
what's interesting? She did
She
have a
had a
ranking.
ranking.
And
Okay.
so if you look at those kids and their reading level, there were, the kids that are still here
Oh, did they?
and have a ranking. There are like 220-ish kids in the group, and those kids that were in that high-risk class range from the number 2 reader in the district to 177. So there is nobody in that bottom.
Sorry, but was that your question, or you were talking about the 72 that are coming?
I was thinking of the 72 who are below level. Like I guess what I'm trying to get to is, if we wanted to cover everyone who was listed as below level, we'd need 6 classes,
Correct.
right?
At 15.
At 15
per class.
at 15 a class, right? And then,
But that is
But-
the level at which we are seeing the success, is that?
yeah, I don't know that we'd
No,
want
no,
to
I'm
tinker
just
with
saying,
that, but
I
yeah.
don't think we could talk about changing it, but that's what.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're not
No, I'm with
comparing
you.
apples to apples.
But then we also saw kids that were below level and made it back to level by second grade who only went through half day from 43% up all the way down to 13%.
Correct.
So my thought is that means that maybe the higher end of the below was okay, right? And they caught up and were part of. So do we, that to me it begs the question, like, do we at least middle it and get the lower end of the below level in a class?
I understand your question.
I'd be careful with saying, the higher end,
Well, that's why I asked if they.
There are a lot of different factors that are going into the.
But that's
child
a
improvement.
question that was
Well, but that's how it was.
presented during the CNI meeting, so I was hoping that Mrs. Hefner might be able to respond.
Yes. So basically, if you look at those levels, the range falls for below level less than 60 and then up to down to 39. So there are kids, I think what you're saying is if there are kids closer to that 60 level, they may not have it, but the kids lower, like maybe like in the 40 range
Right.
So you draw your line at a certain point.
Correct.
So the amount of kids that we can help.
Like you know, the next 30 that are at the lower end of the point, the whatever the value is, like you said, they scored 30, or that group could be a second wave.
I mean, I see what you're saying, yeah.
I mean, at least statistically, it says that, you know, a bunch of the kids didn't, they were below level, but were able to get up to level. That's
Right.
good. You know, that's kudos to the teachers in those classes. But we still need to look out for, there's still some folks that were below, and maybe we could, you know, if
So you're thinking maybe, to maybe not, maybe, and I believe so far, since we only have 30 spots, Mrs. Hefner had identified that, you know, we do need to refine, they do at some points need to refine the criteria for who's getting into those classes, because there's
Yeah.
so few kids. And she gave us a couple of examples of things that are more holistic, that don't necessarily, it's not necessarily where they fall on a test.
I just feel like if I'm one of the parents of the kids in the 13% that didn't get up to speed, I'd feel like, hey, when my kid was in kindergarten, I didn't get the lottery ticket to get into the full day class, right? And I don't think that doesn't feel too good, but not that you can get it to 100%, but
Right, but we were doing, what, 70%, what, 30 out of 40?
Yeah.
originally,
No, it's
70%.
good, yeah.
If you do 70% of the 96, like you're at like 60-something, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that
You got to set criteria.
it's a building block process, right? So if they're behind in third grade or second grade, then it's going to make it a challenge for them to catch up by the time they finish grade school and get into middle school. So, like, I don't know if I'm going to invest money in teachers. I think it'd be, like, personally, it'd be a better investment to do it up front and get them up to speed.
Do we have a data point from, I guess, the last, would that be the 15, 16 year when we were just half day? And how that class in the 17, 18, second grade?
We don't have that here, but it could probably be documented.
Like to compare what the last half day run through was for the
Yep.
entire, mixed, with all the kids mixed in.
Yeah, I get you. We don't, I don't think we need to do another full presentation on that, but is
No.
that something you can get for us? Thank you.
So should we expect a presentation or some type of recommendation from administration on how to handle kindergarten?
Yes, there were some, not, right now, the only recommendation was that that we think the program is working, and that we think that we should continue it. But the other...
Hold on 1 second, Andy. Andy, sorry, I do this all the time. I went to high school with a kid named Andy Strobel. Sorry, Kevin. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll wait.
Hold on.
I'll let you know I'm coming in. Yep.
All right, go ahead. You can go.
I have a question. We're taking a look at our data. This isn't probably we're not the first school district to go down this path. So is there any other cumulative data that's out there that goes beyond our four walls? Is there a consensus? I mean, there's got to be more data than just that we're inside of our own school, so we can get a bigger data source, which would probably give us a little bit more of a reliable finding.
Are you looking for more schools that have had full-day kindergarten and then don't
Yeah,
offer it anymore? Because I don't know if there are many
We're not
schools
the only
like
ones,
that.
I don't believe so. And again, I'm just asking if it's available, because it would just help us in regards to our decision process, because you'd have, I don't know, maybe there's 50 schools across the country that have tried this, gone through, and there's data that supports one way or the other.
I think that what makes it unique is that we're running half day and full day simultaneously, which means that
Right.
those kids are they're going through with their peer groups in first and second grade, as opposed to kids just going through full day and some kids not, and going through a first and second grade that's different. So I guess it's something we can look into, but
I think in the beginning, the idea of getting to this point was by the end of the third year,
Right.
which during our presentation, if I got the timing right, they're going to test in the springtime of 1920 school year, and you'll have the PSSA results in the fall of 2020. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so I mean, that will be the true benchmark, but we can see, for the authorization for this pilot program, if we're going to make it a permanent thing, which I think we should, I think the data is moving that direction and it supports that decision, which is what we've been asking for, waiting for some of these kids to have some time under the belt. I think we got that.
I'm not,
Which would mean.
I'm not opposed to doing it or not doing it. My thought was more, we just want to make sure that we're getting accurate data. Because you could take our small subset, and really there's a lot of factors that go in that could cause errors in our data. So that's why I was looking at, is there a bigger set of data anywhere else that we could incorporate into this process? That's all. If not, that's fine. That's just, again, I was just asking the question more than anything else.
I'm not saying that we can't or that we won't or that we shouldn't. It's just that wasn't the scope of the presentation that the administration was asked to give. So that's why it's not here.
Gotcha.
Is there a plan for, I've identified some of these that are severely below level. What's the plan for those kids? Now that they've been identified, are they going to get extra help? How are we going to do that?
Those are the students that we provide interventions for, our research-based interventions, and also our Teachers in the Parks program is over the summer to prevent that summer slide. So those things are available to our kids.
Okay, and then like next year in first grade, are they going to be able to get some help as well?
Yes, we test the entire grade level, and those students that indicate a need for that support will be provided that support.
Okay.
And some of those kids that are now testing on level have still been identified that they can use extra helps in first and second grade, and they are getting that support, even if they are, as Mrs. Hefner said, to avoid that slide every summer, and to continue to show year-on-year improvements, not the right word. Growth. Thank you.
This is great. I mean,
Okay.
we've been wanting this.
So if we are waiting to see, if I was not aware of what Mr. Wolf had said that initially, that the big, go or no-go moment would be when we get the results of the PSSAs for 2020, for spring of 2020, when we get that information for the fall of 2020. So if that is the case, if maybe we can authorize this program to go again for another 2 years, which would take us to past when we would get that information.
I mean, I know that was the original plan 3 years ago. I guess the way I look
I don't know why they would have said that if PSSAs wouldn't be available until 2 years after that.
I don't know that we have to hold ourselves to that. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
I think at this point, the data that we have even available clearly shows what we were intending it to do is doing. So
like these are our kids who went through, they went through the program and they went from first, second. I don't know how much better you're going to find data outside of here. And
I don't think you're going
quite
to
frankly,
find the board, this current board, I think that would want to go backwards.
No.
And I think if we had the ability, I think we would all love it if we could go full day all around.
Yeah, if you're looking for, I'm just saying, if people
I
were
mean, I've
not
always-
comfortable with a no end date reauthorization for the pilot program, then that was my offer.
I mean, I've always known in the back of my head that a lot of studies show that by third grade is kind of, and then it kind of dissipates.
We discussed that as well.
After that,
Discuss that as well.
so I kind of knew why we were doing third grade, but I was always in favor of having.
Well, that's the first time that there's
kindergarten.
state standardized testing.
Ms. Hefner, you put this together?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
so we're gonna get some type of recommendation for kindergarten. It's a recommendation. It's
Yeah.
right. It's
We did not vote on. a
no, not that you have
recommendation
not now. I just mean.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
now that this has all been shared, I think everyone has a good taste in their mouth. Like,
I think this
let's,
goes back to, what do we, I know we talked about getting some, grade level coaching.
Right.
But, it goes back to if we're making cut somewhere where again, where's the best bang for the buck, and if you're telling us it's coaching, if you're telling us it's an extra half day kindergarten class, if you're telling us it's languages, so I think that's what we're kind of, hoping for, so.
All right, so then we have 4 more presentations to talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry, it would have kept quiet then.
I told you it was 5 if you can't, but whatever. Mr. Hunt gave a presentation about the MTSS, which is Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, and ASTI, which is Additional Targeted Support and Improvement. Is that right? Okay. And specifically targeting the high school, and it was talking about maybe rethinking how we offer extra help with struggling students. It was actually really well done, and I learned a bit. It's there's a lot of theory here, but the main crux of it was that the point was that taking kids out of class to offer them extra remedial support in subjects that they are not excelling in or they need extra support in is maybe not the best way, because then they're being removed from those classrooms to learn something remedial and they're missing other things. And I'd have to check with Melanie. He was talking about approaching it more in a way that is more positive and proactive instead of reactive, by having an extra math support in a separate time, well, math or whatever the subject we're talking about. But I believe we're talking about targeting English, biology, and math first, because those are the keystone subjects.
We had, like I said, we'd have to get some more retirements.
Right where 2
and the 15th is the
very
deadline.
informative.
It's a
I
week.
didn't want to get read the whole
Just saying.
PowerPoint. Did I receive it already, or can you send it to the board so they can? I did. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will forward it so you guys can see it. And it's something that they've been working on for a while. There's no changes yet that have happened, but they could be coming. The next 3 were presentations given by Dr. Sincere Pino. The comprehensive planning meeting that happened last month, and the second meeting for that is going to be May 20th. It was very well attended by all stakeholders in the community. I was there for an hour and a half, but everybody else was there for 2 days. And so she kind of gave us the update of the things that they discussed. They revamped our mission statement and our goals. The kids that were there had really good ideas. The teachers, everybody was very committed to making this process work. And they should have some results for us with a fully formed plan after they meet May 20th. Hopefully we can review and discuss amongst ourselves and with the community and approve it sometime in the summer of this year. Is that correct? The summer of this year?
Yes.
The differentiated supervision plan has to do with the supervision of teachers and how we need to put teachers on different tracks, whether they're brand new, been at the job for a long time, leaving room to know that people always can improve if they've been at the job for a long time. It had 4 different tiers. It's a little bit more detailed than what's going on right now. So in some cases, some teachers have not had any of the benefit of the new teacher academy, which is the third item that you discussed. Again, it's all laid out in the PowerPoint that she presented, and I'll share with everybody if you haven't seen it yet. And then we talked about new teacher academy, which it's not the first time that she's talked to the committee about that, but it is much more fully fleshed out at this point. It has a lot more where the goals are for each year, and when she had talked to me about it before, she was talking about it being a 2-year plan, and now she's fleshed it out into a 3-year plan for new teachers. And that's it.
Thank you. Extracurricular? Oh, I'm sorry, any public comment on curriculum and instruction? All right.
Okay, we did meet last week and went over a couple items. One of the first things we talked about was changing accounting for the boosters clubs. There were some changes that were made. The booster clubs are going to be managing their own money again. It's gone back and forth throughout the years. There was some issues discovered and determined that it was best that they manage their own funds again. However, there were funds that are already in the school budget that were handling. So they came to an agreement of a way to disperse, to use those funds throughout the next school year, and then we will not be managing booster funds anymore. We talked about the sports manager position that was recommended, and it will be up for approval at the next meeting. We talked about activity fees and discussing getting rid of the second activity fee for sports and increasing the first one to cover up and make up some of the difference. The proposal that we were discussing, and we didn't come forward with a recommendation at this point, but was to increase the first activity fee for high school and middle school by $10 and get rid of the second fee, which would create about a $1,900 delta that we would miss. And Mr. Strobel is talking about trying to make that cost neutral. And one of the ways that we could do that, if we needed to do that, was we could raise the initial fee for high school to $115. That would be cost neutral. So, more discussion on that. But I think that it would be better trying to encourage additional kids for second sports and get rid of some of the account headaches with managing and having to pay multiple fees.
So is that something you're going to look to make a change for next year?
Yes. Looking to come forward with a recommendation. We didn't have them. We didn't actually have the numbers. I had to go through and look at the spreadsheet to come up with the actual numbers to make a recommendation. So we will come to a consensus and come forward with a recommendation.
Do we know how many kids fall into the 1 sport, 2 sport, 3 sport categories and all that? So we can get some real life examples as to how that would impact.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers. I just have the financials. And we had from the second sport fee, we had $7,845. So getting rid of that and increasing the first fee by $10 cuts that down to about $1,900. Increasing the high school to $115 and the middle school to $90 is cost neutral. Dr. Cooper presented a draft contract that we're going to be using, or looked at potentially be using for all coaches as a base contract moving forward, which I think is a great idea. We don't currently have a standard contract, so that's something that's submitted. That's really a substance.
This is probably a dumb question, but do we only use the contracts for those who are outside of the district? Like, right? If you're a teacher coaching, it's treated differently than outside. Is the only time we use that contract.
That's what this contract would be for, those
Okay.
that are employees that are not under current contract,
Okay.
teaching contract.
Gotcha. Any board comment? Any public comment on extracurricular? All right, facilities.
We met on April 2nd. We really only met to discuss 2 things. The Naples Pool Swimming Association's 5K, which is on the agenda for approval already. And then we met to discuss the bids that had come in for the cleaning services for the schools. There were some issues with potentially making sure it's all apples to apples. I know that Mr. Small had been working on that. I don't want to put him on the spot tonight because I know facilities is meeting again next week. But Mr. Small, do we have any update on that? So I am putting you on the spot.
I'll just be Andy Strobel here for a few minutes.
Good old Andy.
I'm sorry, I only got the Andy part of that. Am I up?
No, you're not.
You're good.
Okay.
Yes, on Tuesday
I
evening,
appreciate the shot then.
on Tuesday evening, we had expressed some concerns, if you will, regarding the way the proposals came in. Subsequent to that, we've had input from both entities, and we circulated on Friday with superintendent's report, the input that we received from both parties, as well as the summary, the updated summary of the numbers. Both Ms. Weller from Interstate is here this evening, and Mr. Cooter from SSC. So they certainly can answer any concerns or questions that you might have. But as far as concerns that we had last week regarding hours and some of the other differences, those have been resolved and are reflected in the new numbers.
And those were in the email.
Yes.
Again, this will be voted on next week. So if you have any questions, there are representatives in the audience to answer them. If not, we'll be here on Monday night. Make a vote. I guess we'll go. Do we get a formal recommendation from you and Dr. Cooper? Is that how that works? Or?
Based on the information that you have, as I said earlier, the manpower, 26 custodial, 216 hours per day, 4 maintenance, 32 hours per day. Both entities have indicated a lead maintenance person in their crew and have submitted what they're going to be providing as far as supplies, equipment, etc. It's, I guess you could say, down to the numbers, but both have a presence in the area, serving other districts.
I guess my only question, and I know we briefly touched on it, was there any interest in, we do have some good employees that were carryovers from when they were our employees that were hired by the current company. Will they be offered positions in your companies? CAS?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just to make sure I understand, next week when the facilities committee meets, Mr. Dresso won't be able to attend, but the other board members there, we're going to have a recommendation from the administration on the entity that you're recommending that we approve for push out of committee. Is that how I understand it?
Yes. Obviously, the board will have to weigh in on that.
Right, we're going to make a recommendation from the facilities committee, so it goes on the committee of the whole for May, and then get voted on at the end of May. Is that how I understand the timing? No?
Well, we were looking actually for a conversation tonight
Okay.
by the committee of the whole here, with representatives here from the two entities,
All right. I
to
understand.
be able to decide, okay, where are we moving forward with a vote next week, so that could be awarded.
I was away, I did not get on the email. I obviously saw the first round of numbers. Can you kind of update us on that here? Is there one particular low bidder still, or?
Okay, from the Dr. Cooper, do you have what was actually submitted there on Friday?
Yes.
Or I'm using one that sent you.
Yes. So you're looking at the difference between the 2019-2020 school year, difference in the cost of custodial service, and that's just custodial service, with Interstate, $1,285,000. I'm sorry, $1,100,285.60. And then SSC came in at $1,158,000, $746.31. So you got a difference of approximately a little better than $58,000 difference in that first year.
58,461.
58,461.
Yes, the big jump is in maintenance, and that's, found my numbers here. Interstate is at 382,425, SSC at 527,955 for a difference of about 145,530 in year one for a combined difference between both maintenance and custodial of 203,991.
Is there a big difference in the maintenance provided, of what's provided, or?
I'm not sure how to answer that. There were some adjustments made as to services provided.
They're meeting a bid, right? Like we gave them what we need.
Specifications are,
And so they,
manpower is equal. There's four positions, 32 hours per day with a lead custodian.
So it boils down to the salaries that each are offering, what they be paying.
I guess you said lead custodian, so
Lead maintenance.
lead maintenance.
Custodial.
So that's not coming back. I just know that we have been talking about potentially maintenance personnel coming back on staff. So that's not in either of these proposals. So I'm really been on the periphery of this. So I'm not really have enough information to vote.
We have spoken generally, as Mr. Durso did, if there are employees that we're satisfied with, would they be offered positions? But as far as the maintenance side, we're not specifying who they hire for maintenance or who will be the lead maintenance person. Both entities have indicated that they will have a lead maintenance person.
Not for them to hire, for the school to hire to have.
right. We had that discussion and it kind of has fallen flat. So I guess the discussion around this table is, do we want to have a head person that would be under Casey, if I'm not mistaken, in each of the schools? So
Those
person A
bids
would be.
were broken out, right? So if indeed you wanted
Those
to
numbers-
maintenance back in-house, the bids were set up that they were in separate silos.
So the both are apples to apples in terms of man hours and services provided.
Correct.
Well, that's easy. Then. I mean, it's an easy decision.
Like I say, both entities are here if you have questions about why one is higher.
If we brought 4 people back, that doesn't change their numbers, but it'll increase our numbers.
Yes, if you're planning to bring 4 employees, definitely, there would be, we had submitted the RFP in both maintenance and custodial, base and alternate. Alternate being the employees, 4 head custodians would come back to us, 4 maintenance employees would come back. The responses that we received, Interstate did not, or SFC did not respond to the custodial alternate. And if we go the maintenance alternate, that simply brings 4 employees back. Well, based on preliminary estimates for 4 maintenance employees in year 1, as Daniel Boone employees would be about $325,000.
And that doesn't include any maintenance equipment that we would
Right.
likely have to purchase because we don't have any.
$325,000 will be paid. That's not what we would pay the maintenance for, right?
No, that is actual salaries and benefits for 4 maintenance employees, estimated.
Okay.
And then we would add to that equipment, vehicle, whatever's necessary.
But you have maintenance numbers that were bid as well, so.
The maintenance numbers that were bid include everything. Equipment, trucks, manpower.
But we have to decide what our desire is, bring 4 people back at $325 plus the extras as far as the vehicle and equipment, or with the lowest bid on maintenance at $382, $425.
Do we have any references of other clients that they have that they've used?
Yes,
We do.
they've been contacted.
Okay.
Will they be provided to us?
Yeah, I,
Kathleen and Casey have both contacted.
So when you get them, can you at least have them to the board so they can see them, especially?
absolutely. I'll type up what I was, the conversation.
I mean, it can be simple, I don't want to
Absolutely.
put a lot
Yeah,
on
just-
there. So you have a couple decisions here, as I see it. First is, do we just go, one company certainly the low bidder across the board, so that you can approve that as is? Or we have to make a decision on bringing 4 of our people back? And guesstimating on, are we going to spend on a vehicle and equipment from 325? You're looking at another up to 382.
Casey's number is 55,000 year one, should be 370, 380.
Can you give us their numbers
How's that, doesn't sound.
year 3?
It was costing us $50,000 for one truck.
Like, is your financing it?
Yeah, I remember when we bought those trucks, I mean, I think they were like 25,000.
They were in the high 20s with the
Yeah.
plows and stuff,
Yeah,
plows and everything else.
Because we get a really good deal from state contract on those things. I wish I could buy one for that, but do we have to go with a all or nothing, 4 or none? Is there a 1 option?
Somebody to work with Casey?
Somebody that would, yeah, basically. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean,
Well, I had
What's that,
said
the
at our facilities meeting, I think it's what Bobby Con, at least 8 years ago, where we used to have an assistant buildings and grounds supervisor. That's been a long time, but that's,
I mean, the bottom line is what are we going to vote on? Because we got to vote on something. So, and not tonight, but obviously next week, so.
I mean, could we get some more, I mean, I'm curious to Mike's suggestion, I don't know if it's the assistant, but, you know, with the changing of the roles to the director of contracted services and transportation, I'm curious as to what that's going to entail as far as, you know, who's the on the ground kind of boss for the district, make sure that the contractors are, you know, on-site inspections and everything else.
Well, that would be the role of the Director of Facilities and Transportation, to manage those contracted services and to make sure that they're following through with what is written in the contract and held accountable for what they said that they would be doing.
And that would probably pull, you know, whether it's good or bad, you know, whether, you know, it's probably pulling some of Casey's, shall we say, hands-on experience out of the mix then, right?
Yeah, it would pull them out of the weeds, so to speak.
So the question is, do we, you know, do we need somebody that's, that we know has the skills we need to keep, you know, our facilities running as a district employee or not, I guess.
Because eventually he takes vacation. So when he takes vacation, our facilities coordination takes vacation also. You know, that seemed to be a weakness.
Casey, no more vacation, does that work?
Already canceled one this year.
I mean, Casey, so I guess it's next to put you on the spot. Just
No, they're not putting.
a preference recommendation from you.
My recommendation would be to have that, as I explained at facilities, have that one employee come back under the school district. That person would be the custodian that would clean the administration building.
would clean the confidential offices and that kind of stuff. Would also be the person, the way the contract reads is we supply all the parts to the contractors, to our contractor services. So it would give me the ability to have an extra set of hands to go out and perform inventory checks of the buildings for filters and parts and that kind of stuff, and possibly run for parts. I know the contractor services have provided a maintenance supervisor on site. That person, we would have to work through the procurement of that person. I mean, that was the options that person has to get parts. You know, would they be buying it under our contract, and so on and so forth. So I see that person, the helper to me would be just somebody to be in the buildings on a daily basis to, you know, be that go-between for me as well, with the added responsibilities I will have. You know, if I'm tied up with something, you know, we're definitely gonna need somebody available. I don't think we need somebody who is an HVAC technician or a master electrician or something like that. Just need somebody that can be there to have basic knowledge of what is going on and at least relay back to me what is going on. I can even talk them through it with the contractor service, regardless of who we go with their maintenance staff. You know, Dr. Cooper and I had a conversation about doing inspections, you know, weekly by myself. You know, being extra inspections during the day that person could be at. You know, and just kind of assisting overall.
What type of oversight will the folks have in these two groups? Like what is, so we have the bid is inclusive of who's doing the work. Do we have oversight included in that number?
My understanding, they'll have a custodial supervisor. I mean, they're both here and they can probably speak to it as well, but, you know, if you guys would like, but.
Yeah, I mean.
My understanding is that they have a custodial supervisor who would primarily work the afternoon shift for the most part, because that's when most of the staff will be there, would be my guess. And then your maintenance supervisor would be fluctuated between first and second, you know, assisting their employees.
But that supervision, that oversight is built into the bids? Okay.
How about we have one at a time, no particular order, just come up and we can ask them some questions and they can tell us for herself, because the management part is what.
That was our biggest problem.
That's what has always been the biggest problem, and you know, going forward, I think that's something I really want to hear someone speak to.
Ladies first.
And then just say which company you are, so everybody knows.
Is that on?
It should be on, yeah.
My name's Rachel and I'm with Interstate. So the way that our proposal is proposed, we have the leads for the different buildings that were broken out in our proposal, as and then one person from that would be the point person who would be the supervisor that Casey's referring to. Out of the 4 maintenance, there would also be a supervisor on the maintenance team who would basically be Casey's right hand in terms of things that he would need, and also making sure that each of the maintenance people are following through on what they need to do, taking prompt action, and following up behind them. And then besides from this staffing that we have in here, we would have a manager who would oversee the entire contract. So that would be a main point person that's not necessarily here every day. We have the full staffing that was requested by the RFP, but then there would be the other person above them who would be a manager, and then we have director of educational facilities who would be above that person, who is really involved in making sure that overall all the facilities are kept clean. They're doing the monthly inspections and full reports that will be provided to Casey, showing what we're doing.
But is there somebody whose responsibility is oversight every day?
Yes.
For
both? Custodian. There's a custodian one and a maintenance.
I thought I heard you say the maintenance person was a lead who has supervisory responsibilities.
Yes. No, it's a maintenance tech supervisor.
So they're doing the work and supervising?
Yes.
Okay, and then the manager that you referred to, they're like a regional person, or they're assigned just to us?
No, they would only have 2 schools. So we have
Two districts.
Two districts.
Two
yes.
districts.
We have Springford School District, which is not far from here,
Right. And how often will we be seeing them?
every week.
Like, when you say every week, once a week?
Yes. That
Okay.
person is not in the RFP quoted numbers. That's a person above and
Yeah.
beyond the quoted RFP numbers.
Okay. But you have two districts, and they're gonna be on site at least once a week, every week.
Yes. Checking in, overseeing everything. So besides and that's kind of what you were getting at when you were talking about someone that would go in-house for you. It's kind of that sort of thing so that it's not someone in the day-to-day doing the work, but someone above and beyond that who's a separate set of eyes and ears for the district.
And what type of mechanism do you have in place for accountability to make sure that all the things are being done up to standards in the way we've agreed to?
Right, so there's an accountability checklist for each individual. So what we do, we come in, we divide all the work out for each building. It becomes color-coded per custodian, and each custodian gets their own checklist. So especially in the beginning, all the transition, we would have at least 20% more of the staffing that we need because we do hands-on training, and that person would be going through with them on the accountability, and they sign off that they completed all those tasks and give that to the supervisor.
Steph, I will say, when we have an issue with Interstate, we have one custodian that is district employee. So if I have an issue in my room, I report it to them, and then they go to the point person.
Is that how you present work orders too? Through that
I
one
present
person?
work orders to my district custodian.
Okay.
We don't have any interaction, it's like a middleman.
I got
You
you.
have one in each building, that's Springport.
Yes.
The transition that you were talking about as far as having additional people there, is that built into the contract? or-
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of the full transition plan.
Will somebody be coming to our monthly facilities meeting? A lot of times when we get, hopefully not a lot of complaints, but past practice has shown when we get a lot of complaints, we want to kind of hash them out. So I want somebody at the meeting so we can kind of get in front of things before they get really bad.
That's not a problem.
Would you happen to know, assuming you actually don't, but maybe somebody can get for us, what your current turnover rate in custodians are at Springport?
Yes, I don't know offhand, but I know personally that it's not that large. So I deal with overseeing all of operations. So when we do have those issues, anything that we've had on a large scale at Springford, I've been involved in, and we address things right away.
I will say, in the beginning, I guess we went with you guys in 2012, I could be misspeaking.
We've been with Springford for quite some time.
Sometime around then. There was quite a few issues in the beginning. And most recently, the janitors that I speak to at night have been there for 3 years. So they're the same ones I've seen every day, so it's a lot more, like, we have a good relationship, a good rapport. In the beginning, it was a little hairy, so.
That was before my era.
So let me ask you, what is different from what we're asking for at RRP versus the services you provide to say to Springport? What are you're going to be doing or not doing here versus there?
The only difference would be Springford, you still have some of your own staff too. So we're responsible for filling in pretty much like a drop of a dime if the district has a staff member call out. So we have to have X amount of floaters that are always on call that we can give 8 hours a day to of work to. And if we find out like that morning, we have to have, for like snow for instance, anything like that, we need to have someone there within an hour of that phone call. So it's a little bit more demanding than what this contract is calling for. And there's less buildings.
And at Springport, you're strictly custodial, not maintenance, correct?
Correct.
You do, if we give you a list of, and I don't know how big that list is, I know I asked you to shake your head, but I'm going to ask you to your face too. If we give you a list of certain employees that we feel are good, that have been with us, you're willing to offer them positions?
Yes, I can speak on behalf of Interstate that we will retain whoever's in good standing with the school district as long as they accept our offer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And when you say you offer, what, are you taking into what they're currently making? Are you taking that
Yes.
into consideration?
Yes, of course, they're not going to take the offer at less, so we would find out, what they're making now and try our best to match that offer or exceed that offer.
So just to be clear, since you kind of answered it both ways, that at the very minimum, you're going to offer them what they're making now.
Yes, I don't know what they're making right now,
No,
but yes, that's standard practice for
Okay.
us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Where do you do maintenance?
We do maintenance at quite a few different schools and for university, but mostly private schools we do the maintenance. A lot of maintenance for the public schools we work with are in-house. But we also sent a list of our maintenance references over to Lauren.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
This might slide off. Can I put this underneath? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Thanks.
Chairman Scott, members of the board, Dr. Cooper, I'm Matt Cooter with SSC Services for Education. This is Valen Emery. He's the Regional Operations Manager or VP over all of our operations east of the Mississippi. So we're here to answer any questions and probably ask a few questions of you along the way. I'll just ask the first question right out the gate. Mr. Small mentioned that it's apples to apples and it's all in the number, and that's simply, it's not the whole truth, because there are many things in our program that can't be summed up in a number. And I would ask the board and the facilities committee specifically for an opportunity to make a 30 or 45 minute presentation at your facilities committee next weekend or next Monday night. We were listening to the curriculum update and all the presentations that were given for those pieces. And I think it's imperative that the largest asset that you guys manage is your facilities. And to whittle it down to a sheet of paper with a couple of numbers on it without presentations is, I think that you need more due diligence than that. So I would just ask that respectfully to the board. And now I'll answer any questions.
Well, if we do that, then we have to extend it to interstate as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If they do PowerPoints, can the facilities, I don't know who meets in here next week, and facilities meet in this room so they can use the PowerPoint.
I'm not sure who's here.
I don't know. Is it
Policy.
Can we flip flop?
That is next week. That is next Monday.
That is next Monday.
That would be next Monday.
Fine, you can bump policy.
Yeah.
No, you just got to move to the library.
Then, so that starts at,
It is 15th.
That's next week.
that starts at 6:15, so I would say we can limit both to 30 minutes.
Maximum.
Right.
I'd probably say less.
Yeah.
But you're running it, so you tell them how long you
I'd
want
probably
to
say
do.
20 minutes.
20 minutes each, okay. Mr. Rathgeb will be running the meeting on Monday night.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so we'll go in the library.
Yes.
Okay, in fairness, since I asked the question, I mean, the management portion, the piece is the real thing that's really important to me. Because, it's not rocket science, but there is a science to it. And people that are poorly managed do a poor job. And, we've kind of, we've experienced that to varying degrees. And, it's not necessarily all about the numbers for me. I want to make sure we get the results, which are clean buildings that don't have our administration, filling out report cards that have Fs on it every week, or in my case, in our case, too many times. Once is too many times. So I'd like you to speak on, how you focus on the management piece.
Mr. Wolf, great question. I've spent many hours here listening to some of the problems that you guys have experienced. I guess over the past 7 months I've been coming to your meetings, and I appreciate you all welcoming me there. I know it was kind of an outsider. Had the opportunity to tour the schools for the first time, and I was kind of shocked by what I saw. I knew that there were some problems, and honestly shocked. And for our program, every one of our custodial programs, we have dedicated on-site management. Not somebody that goes from one district to another. They are housed specifically in the school district they report to. So it's a management level person that coordinates, directs, and controls all the custodial operations. Each facility is self-contained, so they have a lead person in each facility, day custodian in each facility. And the lead person would implement the first level of quality control on a nightly basis. And then our unit director or the contract manager would implement our quality assurance program, which is an APA-based system, software. We would share those results with you guys. It's scientific scoring. And I'll let you finish up.
Yeah, it's dual parts. So we have the introspective piece, which is our software that we, for the custodial program and the maintenance program, we monitor so that we're sure we're doing what we say we're going to do. And then we have report cards as well that are sent to the building representatives so that we can compare the notes and make sure we're seeing things the same way. From the maintenance standpoint, we not only built in 4 FTEs as required in the in the RFP, we also included an operations manager as well for that very reason. If you're going to hold us accountable to the results that the maintenance folks need to be doing, we need to make sure that someone that understands what the work orders consist of can check behind the individuals doing the work. All of that information is also loaded into our CMMS system, so the program is completely data-driven. We would expect to be part of the facilities committee, and on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, we share all of that information. There is an expectation not just from the local level, but from a company level to meet certain standards. And those eyes are from myself, the president of the company, as well as the regional manager that supports the on-site staff.
So when you say dedicated manager, they're here, just here, every day?
24/7.
24/7.
They only report to you guys.
That's the difference?
That is a huge difference.
That is the difference.
There's a difference in the numbers, right there.
Absolutely. And Val mentioned the CMMS system that we would be running. And while you guys did not ask for this in your RFP, for our maintenance program, it's imperative that we run our system. Because we have it fully implemented, we would run it dually with your system. Now, the difference between what you have today and what we would have, ours is fully implemented. Right now, you basically are running a work order system. In the startup and implementation for us, we would bring in an additional team, and we would asset tag every system that you have within the school district, and we would start tracking the data on it. The amount of work we do on it, the money we spend on it, or the money you spend on it, the time and effort. So that helps us in capital planning, when we need to ask for more money, or when you need to ask your funding body for more money. It's a smarter way of operating. There is some expense on the front end with that, which is included in our price, and I know you guys didn't ask for that. But having sat in this room and in that room for many hours, time after time, there's been frustration on the facilities committee part that you're not getting what you're paying for, and it is imperative that we run an operation that can be successful.
And that we can quantify. I mean, you can't quantify anything without that.
Without what?
Data.
Without data. Just as in the curriculum piece, you all we're speaking, everything in education is data-driven, and your facility should be no different.
I guess my question is the same. With some recommended employees, how are you guys going to handle that?
We would expect them to transition over, we make an offer, same rate of pay. They just have to verify what their rate of pay is.
Okay.
And they have to pass a background check.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I think what we need, is there any more questions for them?
Just quickly going back to the presentation that you want to make, is that maintenance driven or custodian or a combination of both?
You said only 20 minutes, so it's a whole lot of information to pack in that we would do an overview of everything, including our company, dig into some details a little bit.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, looking at that number for maintenance, to me, I could bring it back in-house and have all district employees probably for that number. Just saying. I know there's added value you're putting there, but my question is, well, why wouldn't I bring it back in-house then?
Sure. And there is added value. Our goal would be to, we have no idea how much money you guys are spending out with third party on subs, and our goal would be to bring some of that money back by self-performing some of that work ourselves. So over time, you're much more efficient and effective.
I would definitely, for both, add that piece to the puzzle, to the presentation. If you believe that you can create cost savings, I think it's going to be important for both companies to do the best you can to present that. That would be important information. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Not for me.
Can I just say one thing? Just maybe it's a stupid question, but how do we expect them just to hire, well, our employees? I mean, it's not a fit. Maybe it's, again, I'm not trying to knock our employees, but if it's not a fit, maybe these guys aren't going to. If I was going into this operation, I'd have a team, and I'm not for either side, but I'm just saying if they would have had a team here, I'd probably want to pick my team, especially if they're in this contract.
Most instances where I was coming in on board in a contract, typically we would hire on because all the employees are already here, already trained, and they're the facility.
Okay.
But you mean there is usually some turnover in any event, because they might look at the benefits from the new company and say, but usually you can't bring a whole new. I mean, they have to hire a whole new.
Okay.
It's usually more effort to get them all trained up. You know, if there are some quote unquote problem employees, they typically leave themselves out anyway.
That's fair enough. I just was wondering.
It's typically two things. It's accountability and ability. So we bring everybody over, make sure they're trained appropriately, and one of the two situations usually fall out, and that's what turnover comes from.
Okay. Thanks. I guess what I think what we'll need for next week is just a breakdown of bids, the costs, and then what the cost of bringing one employee back in to whatever title we want to give that person, just so the board sees the full, our costs across the board, even with that employee, so they can make the decision next week whether, just want all the information in front of them, so they can digest it over the weekend.
It would also, I know Mr. Blankenmiller probably has a good idea, but if we would know the things that we don't self-perform, what is typically the task that we don't perform outside of clocks and
Doors?
doors,
Classrooms.
yeah.
That's a door
But I mean,
never ends.
one of the things, the skill set that we're not going to get, that we're still going to have to go outside to their point, if they have trained technicians that are coming in, they're going to have a skill set, they're expected to do this. Will that actually bring some money back to the district that we don't have to spend for contracting out? So I don't know typically what's the highest runner, and you don't have to give me an answer now. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, compressor replacement is the primary thing that I can contract out.
That what?
Compressor replacement for all my heat pumps. The in-house staff will diagnose the problem. If the compressor's bad, I'll order a compressor to contact the contractor, say, hey, compressor's gonna be in 2 or 3 days, and they'll come in and they'll replace it. That's the primary item that is currently contracted out. I would say it's probably 70% of the work. And then the other thing is if there's any larger electrical issue that I'm not comfortable doing myself, like going into a switch gear because I don't have the proper arc protection and flat punch protection devices. I have a contractor coming in to full wire between our light poles tomorrow because we might have to drop one of the light poles because a squirrel got in and beat the wires. kind of thing. So, but it's primarily, it's pressure related.
Maybe they're wearing
Was that
slippers.
something that was also the case with the Tyrone staff?
They're thinking we're gonna get
That has not changed. So
I
I
can't
have
even
not
touch the wires,
asked
but squirrels can go in there and eat them.
or made any new expectations of the staff compared to what it was when I got here 4.5 years ago.
So that makes sense. Well, that kind of.
Hey, when we're sharing the bids, can we also, Lauren, just when we're sharing the bids, can we also compare it to what we're paying now for the same services? Just, we don't need to talk about it, I'm just saying, so when we're looking, we're looking at yeah, I think it'd be helpful. Any other questions for either?
Just a general question. So we're going to have presentations next Monday, and we're going to see the spreadsheets and some of the other information we asked for, and then we're going to be expected to vote.
Yeah, I'm still unclear as to how we're going to have everything, enough
Well,
information to
I mean,
vote
I
next
think there's
Monday.
some things, I don't want to say it in a public meeting, but you're going to have the information, and you're going to have to make your decision based off that information, but if you're,
Well, I mean, everyone's not going to be able to attend the facilities meeting, probably.
Not us.
So it'll be a recommendation from the facilities.
That's all I'm saying.
Cancel policy. Policy's canceled. We're available.
So-
Rob will be there. Sorry, Rob.
the,
For the record, I'm insulted.
so
We're there.
next Monday, then the 15th here at 6:15, you'll have 2 presentations.
Well, in all fairness, should ABM should be offered the ability to.
Well, I don't think so, because I think, we do run into an issue that it's a legal issue I'm gonna talk about in executive session about this. So, I don't really think that needs to be extended.
I did speak with ABM on the phone last week. They knew about this meeting tonight. They knew both of them would be discussed. Okay. Public meeting.
I do have a legal, work on in executive session.
Yeah. All right, and
That's my report.
thanks for keeping it quick, keeping it brief.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll make up for it.
I'm
Who won, Mrs. Olson or Mr. Durso?
I won today, sorry.
Should have had the
I guarantee I'll be shorter.
finance. Oh, I'm sorry. Any public comment on the facilities discussion? Finance.
I'll be really quick. We did have a finance committee meeting last week since we really didn't have enough difference in the data to justify having a meeting. So discussion with Ms. Haney decided to cancel the meeting. The next meeting is May 2nd. And Mr. Strobel and I have to discuss timing, so maybe the time might change because I believe he has a meeting that he's
Technology.
scheduled. Yeah, but it's not on here as far as to be determined. So, but we'll talk about that, but that'll be the next finance committee meeting.
All right. Any public comment on finance? Mr. Scott, policy and review.
Thank you very much. This is going to take a while. Unfortunately, we just had the news flash that our next meeting will be canceled on the 15th. We're all really upset. We'll be there in support of your facilities meeting. So I'll keep this really brief. We talked about 7 different policies, and I guess if you call them highlights, a couple of them would be our highlights. One is policy 810.3. That's a policy of the school vehicle drivers. That's primarily about the vans and employees using the vans. And should someone get into an accident, it's about drug and alcohol testing. That's after they have an accident. So, and it is something that I think we all agree that it's something we'd like to move forward. Obviously, there's some legal stuff. Rob, maybe you can speak to that, but not legal, but it's just, we were not making a final decision here yet.
It was vetted by our legal team, guys, of that policy.
Okay, so it was recommended we do this. I guess policy 918, quite frankly, is pretty simple. It's just Title I, and it's in accordance with the current ESSA regulations. Big word, ESSA. All right. And then next one would be not too exciting, but pretty common sense. But that policy 617, we talked about petty cash. Apparently, petty cash is typically in the buildings. It's only $100. And I guess we discussed about having, I don't know if I misunderstood this, max $200. And the only reason we have petty cash in the buildings anyways, what I'm hearing from the majority would be like sporting events, where they're going to need some cash. Otherwise, I don't think there's any other need. And those are basically the highlights of the meeting. And next meeting is the 15th, unless we... It's canceled. Okay. I'll get back to you.
All right.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Scott?
No. Any board comment? Any public comment on policy? All right. Technology.
Yep, go over some of the highlights in it for the 19, year 19, 2019 and 20. E-rate end users were similar to the last report. There was just kind of a light, not a request for it, but a discussion about potentially having some innovation grants provided so that they can test different things in the building. There was some, we were discussing some numbers. We're going to further discuss that at our next meeting. The telecom provider, they had a meeting on 3/8, went well. And there's 3 vendors currently in the bidding. Laptop and desktop computers, an update on their review. They're moving most products towards Apple products and Chromebooks for savings of about $200 per device, and a huge savings in setting them up. They presented a technology 5-year roadmap. It's too much information to share at this time, but it's a great plan, and I believe everybody should have an opportunity to see the presentation for the details. But from a 10,000-foot view, there was device counts, replacement schedules, budgets projected. We shared what was not included in their forecast. So they were replacement needed items. They shared variables like E-rate, system redundancy, IoT devices and cameras. They shared saving ideas for less wired clients, reduced desktops, less printers, cloud-based email file storage, and Windows to Chrome and more. So it's quite a comprehensive plan, and I recommend everybody have an opportunity to take a look at it. We discussed the 2019 and 20 summer projects, the migration for email, to switch over to Gmail. There'll be a June kickoff for that, and then a file server migration to Google Docs by the end of the school year. Website hosting and redesign, they're going to start working on it next week, but it's going to kick off basically over the summer. In regards to the one-to-one digital learning initiative, they're working on planning getting iPads back in-house and then reissue some of them for AP purposes. And the middle school facility iPads is going to be just teachers this coming year, and they have a solid plan wrapped around on how to do those. Digital document storage platform, there's a statement of work out, approximately $44K, and they're hoping to get that down into the $40,000 range. Student information migration to Infinite Campus, I believe that there was some discussion earlier about it, but there's a demo at the county this month. They're working on pricing at this point. The current program that we have, we're going to be looking at between a 10 to 18% increase this year, as the IE has been talking about what people are leaving. It's a shared expense. Commensurate ceremony live stream, there was a recommendation for that. The cost is around $1,500, and that kind of closes out our meeting. Any questions?
I'm going to dovetail off of the request that Mr. Graff had earlier about the number of people that do participate in the live stream. It's about 350 to 500 depending on the year. Now that's those that are watching in its entirety. There are quite a bit more that come on and off, and connections are brief, but
You made a mistake, quickly got it
I
right.
guess.
Any other technology comments? Any public comment on technology? Thank you, Mr. Strobel. Transportation?
We did not have our meeting last month. Our next meeting is May 6th.
Any board comment? Any public comment on transportation? All right, old business? Any public, any board comment on old business? Any public comment on old business? Any new business? Any presentations by public on any issues that we discussed tonight? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.